Representative David Byrd, who's a Republican from Tennessee, is he's not doing well. He's got coronavirus. In fact, he's one of at least 2 House Republicans that were hospitalized in recent months with the coronavirus, and now he is asking for your thoughts and prayers. That's right. Here's what he said on a post on Facebook. Quote, "I really need a miracle today. My doctor said if my oxygen level doesn't improve, then he has no choice but to put me on a ventilator. So please pray that God will breathe his healing spirit into my lungs. Amen." So now, a ventilator, God, that's pretty serious. And a lot of people who go on ventilators don't often make it out on the other side. And so that's a very, very serious condition. Very, very serious for a hoax. Weird. Speaking of that, right? According to the Tennessean, Mr. David Byrd was one of among nearly 70 House Republicans who recently attended a caucus meeting held in the House chamber on November 24th. A week and a half later, he ended up getting the virus. Now, reports say that he was seen on the House floor without a mask. So he wasn't wearing his mask. Well, I wish I could say that's the worst part of this. But no, it gets worse. Just days before, Mr. Byrd had hosted a dinner for dozens of his fellow caucus members at a restaurant. As we know, adults that have come down with coronavirus are twice as likely to have recently dined in at a restaurant as those who did not eat at a restaurant. Interesting. A CDC report indicates that eating and drinking at bars and restaurants is a significant risk factor for COVID-19 infection. Now, this is not entirely new information here. Why do you think that we have had closures of in-person dining? Why do you think that a lot of the states that have taken this seriously, for example, Michigan, have said, okay, what we need to do is we need to limit or close in-person dining? Like, unfortunately, there's been a lot of resistance to that from Republicans who come out and say, well, how dare you close down that Applebee's? I want to go in and I want to be served. I mean, I talked about this yesterday with Lance at the Surfs, and he and I had an excellent conversation about this, about how some of the worst people are the ones that are still dining out. And of course, they tip very, very poorly, and they're often very rude to customers. And so these are the people like Byrd who are still going out to restaurants and getting themselves and restaurant staffers sick. That's what's happening. Okay. Duh. If you're eating in at a restaurant, you're literally asking for coronavirus. And so I don't know what this guy expected. And now that he's in the hospital, he's taking up a hospital bed, which could have been used for somebody who had inadvertently, became infected with coronavirus, even if, they had masked up and things like that, because a mask, while mostly effective, somewhere in the high 90s, 94% effective, if everyone around is wearing masks, it's still a possibility of getting coronavirus. And that does happen. I was reading a report earlier where there was somebody who was wearing a mask indoors, and there was someone who was unmasked about 20 feet away, who had coronavirus. That person with the mask still ended up getting the coronavirus because of that air system inside the building. And so while not 100%, the chances of actually stopping coronavirus from spreading are very, very high when both parties are wearing masks. The people that are going inside restaurants are not wearing masks. And of course, they're indoors with those air ventilation systems, which tend to spread coronavirus. And so that's why this is like, it kind of feels like a fuck around and find out kind of situation. But he already likely knew. In fact, I have proof that he already knew. That said, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about how ridiculous it is to be like, oh, please, Jesus, save me. Please blow the breath of life into my lungs. because my lungs are filled with the COVID. All right. Look, if God exists, why would God, maybe this is why I'm not like a God or anything like that. Which, gosh, imagine if that happened, right? Ooh. Why would he help somebody that's so painfully dumb as to ignore the scientists? Now remember, if God created the universe, then God created the rules of the universe, correct? So now that's the way that the world works, and you know, everything looks and acts and things like that. So now scientists, all they do is observe and test the world in order to better understand how things work, and therefore have an understanding of God, right? Or whatever you want to call it. In fact, that's originally what science was all about, trying to understand the universe and God and all that stuff. And so that is through a process of testing and observation. And you can come up with conclusions, you can test theories, you can test hypotheses, etc. That's what science is. Now, in the world of science, if you don't protect yourself from a virus by taking very simple measures, like wearing a mask and standing 6 feet away from someone and washing your hands often, well, then you're going to get the virus. Again, if you fuck around, you are going to find out. And that's exactly what happened to this man. But it gets even worse. You're going to love it. As the Tennessean points out, Byrd, as well as GOP Representative Mike Carter, who was also placed in the ICU with coronavirus in August, supported a House resolution stating that, quote, mainstream media has sensationalized the reporting on COVID-19 in the service of political agendas. So he's saying, oh, COVID-19, oh, it's being hyped up in the media. It's not really that bad. It's just the flu. You liberals are just using it to beat Donald Trump. Fast forward a few months later. Oh, God, help me, save me from this virus. Breathe the breath of life into my lungs. Oh, my God. Literally. Oops. What? Don't you look stupid? Don't you look like a fucking jackass as you're dying of COVID right now? Dumbass. And look, here's the thing. I know you guys, some of you might be thinking, God, you're being such a fucking asshole. Like, why would you? Why? Well, it's just because this is another line of things that continue to happen, right? It's the same thing. People fuck around, and then when they get coronavirus, they're like, oh, please save me. Why? It's not like you didn't have the information. It has been available. We have been screaming it from the rooftops. Please be careful, wear your mask, socially distance, and you can do your part to help slow the virus so we can eventually actually also, because guess what? As much as I like to rag on Applebee's, I kind of like eating there. And I would love to take my wife out on a date one of these days. Okay? And so that could only happen if everybody does their fucking part until we get a vaccine. And even, therefore, a little bit after. Okay? A little afterwards, we're still going to have to mask up for a little bit while longer. And then maybe by the end of the year, next year, you know, end of 2021, we can actually get back to some sort of semblance of normal. That's, of course, you know, not really accounting for the fact that economically, Republicans have completely fucked up this country because they won't give a stimulus check or a UBI, along with corporate Democrats who refuse to push that as their main line, and have given all this extra additional money to corporations. And so completely ignoring that and the economic devastation that is going to be felt for years and years following this, okay, at least we can go out to eat. But no, you can't even manage that. You can't even do any of that. No, fuck off. I don't care. I don't care. You get what you deserve. You reap what you fucking sow. I'm so tired. And look, maybe if this guy survives, which I'm not hoping that he dies. No, if he survives, okay, if he survives and he comes out and he says, coronavirus is a serious thing. We should wear masks. We should wear masks. We should socially distance. I apologize for putting all of my colleagues and my friends and my family in danger, we should really take this seriously. Then all is forgiven. Then I'm going to say, congratulations, David Byrd. Okay, you've learned your lesson. Rational human being, that's a good response. Love it. Love it. Okay. If he doesn't, if he comes out and says, oh, which I expect this to happen because it happened with Donald Trump, because it's happening with Rudy Giuliani right now. Okay. Where they come out of isolation, this guy gets out of the hospital and says, media hoax. See, wasn't that bad. You almost fucking died. Donald Trump had to be on oxygen and he had to get his experimental cocktail of drugs. Okay. Rudy Giuliani. Oh man, I've got the miracle cure that Donald Trump had that nobody else does, that regular people can't get. So I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine, but fuck you all. I don't give a damn about you because I'm Rudy Giuliani and I'm rich and powerful. And that's what it is. And that's what I think people like Robert Wood are going to do. They're going to go back to misleading and bullshitting their constituents. That's what they're going to do. And that's what a lot of the Republicans that have already gotten it. I think it was Rand Paul that also did the same thing. Rand Paul. I mean, that's what irritates me. So I'm sorry, but these people are literally getting sick and dying to own the libs. And I'm getting tired of feeling bad about calling them out for it. Okay, I'm really getting sick of feeling bad for the people like you know, the family of Herman Cain. I don't really feel bad anymore. Okay, I'm fucking tired of it. I'm tired of it because it turns out you should take a little bit of personal fucking responsibility. It's disgusting. Okay, and so I think that, you know, if you're in this situation, and if David Byrd somehow comes across this video, which I fucking hope he does, I really hope he does, okay, then you should be held responsible. If you go back to saying, oh, media hoax, it's okay, it's fine, it's not that bad, 99.8% recovery rate, well then, fuck off. You should be held 100% for, you know, accountable for every single person who dies as a result of your fucking stupidity and callousness. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.